Click-through rates was 3 times as high as the product ads. They brought their CPA down 35%. So overall, the numbers are great, but also just the what it did for them as a brand and recognition-wise was huge.
You're listening to the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast, where we break down the financial principles that rich advertisers are deploying today to turn advertising into profit and get tons of traffic to their websites without killing their cash. These advertisers, agencies, affiliates, brands are responsible for managing over $1 billion a year in ad spend. You'll hear about what's working for them today, their rich ads, and we'll roast their epic failures and crappy ads on the internet with poor ads. Let's get into it.
All right, everybody, we are back on this fine Friday afternoon. We have another episode of the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast where we kind of dive into, what's working, what isn't working, and some nice financial tips. We got your host today, Dylan Carpenter, in the house. What is good, everybody? And we have a very special guest behind the scenes of some big-ass brands when it comes to awesome video production like, TrySnow.com, Truff Hot Sauce, and a very specific client we're going to be talking about today, Imperfect Produce. Now, if you've seen these guys, they slang on ads. Of course, we're dealing with Mr. Kia Zomorrodi. Hopefully I didn't slaughter that too much, but man, thanks for jumping on this.
Hey, of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. So, the brands you work on, everybody's got to have seen these ads at some point. These bad boys are spending, 6 figures, man. But go ahead and give everybody a little bit of background of kind of how you're attributing to this, and what y'all are kind of doing over there at Bacon and Eggs Media.
Sure. Yeah. So my personal background is I've always been kind of into video making as a kid. Was always doing kind of the sketch comedy stuff, running around with a camera throughout school, college. We were doing these college videos. A lot of stuff, few stuff went viral. Can't say a lot, but definitely back in the days it was exciting. And then got into programmatic ad buying at an internship while in school in San Francisco. So yeah, we were running all this content for brands, spending upwards of like 100, 200 grand on these campaigns with these terrible creatives. Me and my partner were just like, man, we've been doing this video stuff. We make really funny, great content that people love. Why don't we start making this stuff for brands and, start making commercials out of it? So that's what we started doing. And at first it was very just branded, funny videos for companies. And once we started media buying for it and seeing what worked, it kind of transitioned into what it is now, where we make entertaining, engaging videos. They're informative. They sell and they work really well in the media buying funnels.
Oh, yeah. And when it comes to acquisition these days, that's the key to everything. So, with these types of videos, they're just so disruptive. And my gosh, I feel like they got to flood the gates with new customers.
Yeah. So, they're fun to make, but they're also disruptive. They are eye-catching. People remember these ads. They want to watch it. They want to share it. They want to buy from it, most importantly.
Oh, yeah. So, when it comes to this rich ad segments today, this one's going to be pretty juicy. It's from an awesome, brand called Imperfect Produce. And y'all may have seen these ads, but we got a guy who's inked up, piercings, looks like he could have just walked off, a freaking, prison almost, more or less. But, he's kind of diving into these, produce that are just very odd shapes. I'm assuming that's kind of what the business is all about, more or less. But go ahead and kind of dive into this video for us. We're going to have this in the show notes for everybody to check out. And you've probably seen it, but go ahead and, rip it apart for us, Kia.
Yeah, so kind of how it came about, we were working with them to this was like one of our early projects, and they just wanted like some very clean product videos, just something to show the brand. And then what they do is they sell imperfect produce for a discounted price. Things with like eggplants with like arms coming out of it, or something a little bit weird where people don't normally want to buy them. So they came to us. We're doing we were planning out a normal product stuff for them. And we're like, hey, we should do a funny spokesperson ad. And they were kind of hesitant about it, but we had pitched them these crazy ideas. And one of them was, originally it was like, hey, let's get this like intimidating Terry Crews type guy who's just like big and jacked, talking about like how much he loves produce. So, just catch people off guard. And we had started auditioning people for this role, and we got this guy His name is Coete, and you can see in the ad he's just pretty much like this cholo dude. He's this Mexican guy, nicest guy in the world, but he basically, I mean, the ad looks intimidating. It opens up on this guy who's tatted, and this actor was just in The Tax Collector with Shia LaBeouf, so he like plays all these like, I don't want to say typecast, but he gets all these roles. So the ad opens up on this guy, and it looks intimidating, but he basically like flips the switch, and he's this really nice guy talking about how he loves his fruit seeds and his vegetables, and you shouldn't judge things by their appearance. And then this ad just like completely went viral. If you look at the Facebook comments, like every comment is about, how much they love this ad, how much they love this commercial. So we had delivered to Imperfect Produce both the product ads that we did as well as this one, and this one just like completely blew things out of the water. Click-through rates was 3 times as high as the product ads. They brought their CPA down 35%. So overall, the numbers are great, but also just the what it did for them as a brand and recognition wise was huge. And it's funny, our actor was telling us like there were some funny lines in there about like a strawberry summer salad. This guy told us he'd be walking around in LA and people would be yelling at him like, hey, look, it's Mr. Strawberry Summer Salad.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, how many views did this have across everything? 4 or 5. Like, I had to have been a ton at that point.
So when we do these campaigns and there's always like the main ad, but and we chop up like so many versions of this. So I mean, some of them on their own we're doing 5 to 10 million, and then there's iterations of that are getting millions of views. So they had launched a bunch of different versions of this, and sometimes you want to put all the social proof to one video and just rock that one forever. Other times, we had all these cuts and we had different scripts. So I think a combined view count of probably, is upwards of 20 million.
Oh man, that is nuts. And I mean, did y'all see a huge uptick, or did you even kind of see these numbers of just kind of new customers, or was this more of a video that went viral?
Well, so most of these brands we work with now all have internal buyers, so we handed things off to them. But so I don't know exactly, what the numbers were as far as how many customers came in, but I know they were really stoked on it. So yeah, we're probably going to be rocking more of those soon.
Oh heck
It,
yeah!
it's
With that same brand or same style?
I think same style, probably same character. I mean, this was like something completely different and off-brand for them. But I mean, as far as the character-wise and type of content, but overall, the aesthetics were on brand, the messaging was on brand. It was just a very unique, creative, and it worked really well.
So you
And
kind of mentioned it was a little more off-brand earlier. Was this kind of more of a risk for them to take, or did they kind of put their faith in you? I'm kind of curious because when it comes to these bigger brands, I mean, it's very easy to stick to the norm and kind of be boring and consistent. But this is just very, complete 180. It seems like for their kind of actual more, positioning as a brand.
yeah, and I mean, this was one of our earlier campaigns, and I think part of it was us just being like, "Hey, we're just gonna bite the bullet. Like
Yeah.
we're shooting this anyways. Why don't we just shoot this funny ad as well?" And they were down to take the risk, and it was kind of surprising because this was the concept that was definitely the most edgy of all the ones we pitched to them. Um, so yeah, I think they just took the risk and they're like, hey, if it works, it works. If not, it doesn't have to see the light of day. We'll just run the clean, safe stuff.
Oh, shit, man, this is a total rich ad here. So, I mean, for y'all listening, if you're trying to boost that click-through rate, website traffic, get some new customers, and have a killer video that gets millions of views, you know who to call. Eggs and Bacon Media. Or Bacon and Eggs Media. Shit.
Bacon, yeah, you got to run with the bacon first.
Oh my god. How long have you been around actually though?
We've been doing this seriously for about 2 years. So at first it was kind of out of college, like let's just have some fun and make some videos on the side. And then when we saw the traction start to pick up, is when we seriously started making moves towards it and working with the e-com brands and really niching down on what it is that we do. Because if you look at like some of our early content, we were like one of our first campaigns was for this Indian dating app, and it was just a viral video about almost like a guy code type style of it was a girl talking about how did my parents find all these dates for me, like this is crazy, where do they find these guys? and then it cuts to this crazy fantasy scene of like an auction, and these Indian like auction man is basically selling off suitors to this room of parents. And it's really funny. They're like talking about this guy who's got this PhD, and the parents are just like going crazy. They're trying to auction for this guy. So that one went crazy viral, but we noticed, it's fun to make these funny videos that organically go viral, but the way the landscape changes on Facebook, and now you got to pay all this money for people to see your content. We started transitioning, and it's now more DR. We also want people to buy the product. So that's kind of where we made that move, and that's kind of where we've been for 2 years.
Gosh, yeah, man, it's been cool because I had to have seen this maybe a year ago, and I remember Josh from Try Snow posting that video y'all did for them as well. So I mean, I've been seeing y'all creep up on the radar more and more, and man, it's just been super cool to watch how y'all kind of grow there.
Oh, thank you, man. It's been a fun process. I mean, this has always been a hobby of mine. I had just converted some old tapes I found as a kid, and it was crazy seeing. I did this. It was very weird, but I put on a wig and I was like cross dressing at like 11 years old, making a shampoo commercial for a class project, which was like super random. And I totally forgot I ever did that, but I'm like, damn, that's crazy how life comes full circle. Making these crazy videos for a school project in like the 6th grade. Now here I am making these crazy videos, but for huge ecom brands.
Oh man, and it's wild. And you always hear about these stories of these badass entrepreneurs and business owners who didn't even know, but they had little subscription models when they were like having a lawn service when they were 12 and stuff. I mean, it's
So
it's it's so cool to kind of see how it shapes because I mean, yeah, it goes full circle there. But
I like to joke around that like me and my buddy first were the original Postmates, or the original Instacart, because we had these gas scooters, and we were buying groceries for our neighborhood. So the first thing was like a cabbage. We bought some lettuce for my mom, and she still owes me $1 for that lettuce. But I'm like, damn, we were the first like Instacart.
my gosh, yeah, I mean, shoot, and don't you wish you could have monetized that back in the day in some way?
Yeah.
Well, heck yeah. I mean, y'all got to go check this out. baconandeggsmedia.com. Check out the videos. They're super sick.
This episode is brought to you by Funnel Dash's ad card, the only charge card exclusively for your digital ad spend. And if you're an ad agency that manages 7 or even 8 figures a year in media and ad spend for your clients, and you're looking to double your profits over the next 6 to 12 months, then check out ad card. See, the typical agency model is this. You charge 10% of your spend, and you make 10 to 20% margin at the end of the day. So that's really 1 to 2% of your client's spend that is profit in your business. The easiest way to double that is to really find a way to earn in that 1 to 2% cash back of the card that is on file of your client's ad account. And before ad card, what you had to do was invoice all your clients for their ad spend up front, which is really difficult on a cash flow basis and very difficult ask. And then you had to put the card on your own Amex or whatever card of choice to get that level of value back into your business. With ad card, it's entirely different and streamlined. You simply get your clients on ad card and make yourself the agency of record, and you'll get the cash back as long as you're managing the ad spend. It's a great way to double your profit without doing any additional work. Check it out at funneldash.com.
Now, while those are some killer rich ads, we're going to dive into a super shitty poor ad. Now, this is one that found surfing the web. It's very death oriented. Thought it'd be kind of fun for a Friday. So go ahead and check out your messenger, and I want your first thoughts because this is an actual ad that's running.
Okay, I'm just opening it. Guaranteed acceptance for ages 40 to 85. No physical exam required. Is this a joke?
It's the amount of
Plan?
things. Oh yeah, go bring it on.
Oh, okay. All right. So at first I'm thinking guaranteed acceptance for ages 40 to 85. Does that mean like if you die, you're guaranteed accepted? But now I'm realizing, is this like more of a life insurance plan? It doesn't.
I thought it was for caskets to buy in the beginning, and then it kind of threw me off because we have the learn more, and the call now. So there's just so much going on, and not to mention the best part, all the watermarks. I mean, oof.
That is, I thought the watermarks are maybe like what you did to share it, but that's,
Oh,
this
yeah,
is on the actual ad.
yeah. This is an actual, yeah, sponsored ad. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
And there's like
Um,
multiple watermarks on it too. There's a Shutterstock one, and then there's Cider Productions. So they really, but I guess all the companies wanted to make sure we knew whose photo this was.
right. I mean, I didn't even notice that Sida Productions at the beginning. If you're hearing this right now, Sida, it's a pretty bad ad. I hate to be that guy, but this is rough.
It doesn't, it's so confusing at first. And yeah, I mean, you can't even tell what it's for. Plans start for $9 a month. I guess maybe it's a life insurance.
It's
It's a
gotta
very,
be.
I
Yeah.
mean, fear sells, but this isn't like anything that's too scary or even descriptive enough to tell what it is.
I wish they honestly had the plans starting from $9 a month. I think it'd be kind of funner to have plans starting at $6 a month, where you can kind of have some nice jokes about being 6 feet under for only $6 a month. Be
they,
prepped.
they should have just bit the bullet and done $6 a month for that.
I mean, hey, you only live once, right? But yeah, this is the definition of these very shitty ads we roast on the podcast. So it's a good way to ease the mood a little bit.
No physical exam required. That's nice.
Yeah, for life insurance, that's
Could be
very
like right on
non-traditional.
the,
Like,
you can be right on the brink, and you can go get yourself a life insurance policy.
do you skydive daily? You're good.
How did you find this ad? Did you
Yeah,
get,
so
were you targeted this?
I feel like Facebook's like knows I'm looking for these now. So I think about 70% I put out, I'm actually getting hit by them. But I'm in a ton of groups to where I'll just, post, hey, y'all post some of the shittiest ads you've ever
Oh
seen.
yeah,
I'll screen grab those. I think this was one that somebody else grabbed. But it was just so good not to roast, to be honest. So it was like,
it's it's really good, and I feel like you could still do something really humorous with even a morbid subject like this. But people want to stay safe and serious, so they come out with a really shitty ad like this. I
oh, I mean,
mean, you can joke about it.
oh yeah, and I'll be 100% honest in this scenario. I have ran ads for a place that does cremations, and the amount of like they were surprisingly pretty cool with me. Having funny jokes where hey, our deals are hot, hot, hot. This is. I mean, if you can have fun with it,
That's it.
why not?
That's what you need to do. I mean, people get they're gonna die one day. Like, why not make a joke about
Exactly. The
it?
only downside is people on Facebook are changing more and more to where that negative feedback,
Oh,
becomes super hot. But hey,
tell me
negative,
about it.
it's going to boost my ad more, so I don't really care.
Totally. And I mean, that's something we see a lot too. Is how the comments are different these years compared to prior. Some content that we run, we'll start seeing like the crazy. I don't want to say social justice warrior comments, but similar that you don't get prior, and it makes you think about maybe being a tad bit more safe with what you run, or at least thoughtful about it.
It's getting a lot, worse and worse these days. It's cancel culture. I mean, the last thing you'd want is to have, you think you have an ad that's going to be really disruptive and plot twist. It ends up offending a ton of people and goes viral on Twitter
Yeah,
and everything. To where, you know, it used to be, negative feedback was sometimes good on the ads, but
yeah,
these days it's 2020 is just that weird.
it's scary. It's scary. We've
Well,
had.
this poor ad is, terribly poor. But let's go ahead and, take a page out of that Rich Dad Poor Dad book, dive into some more financial fundamentals, some tips out there. I know you were kind of mentioning some super juicy, stuff before we even kind of, went live on the podcast here or for the recording more or less. But let's kind of dive into some financial tips. I know you have a super interesting kind of background there. So go ahead and release the beast and kind of provide some insights for those out there.
Sure. I mean, so when you do these creative productions and video productions in general, they can be pretty costly. So a big thing that we learned early was you can't be like buddy buddy with clients and be loose about invoices and payments, or else they'll just screw you. So early on, we're loose about it. Pay when you can. And what we were trying to do is take a lot of performance deals. We'll fund the production for the right company, and pay us off when you start selling. And we did that with an Indiegogo campaign. And this guy had this awesome product, and we're like, screw it. He doesn't have the money, but like, let's just fund it ourselves. Which in theory is good, and we'll do it at this point. But when you're early on and you don't have the cash flow, the product never launched, and it's been 2 years. So we're just
Oh
in
my
the whole,
God.
10, 15 grand at that point. So that's when we learned, enough of this like net 30 when you're starting a big project. We need to make sure all of our costs are paid prior, and even now we'll charge 60% to start the contract, and we don't have to pitch anymore for projects. I think where we're at, we don't have to give ideas before starting a project. We make sure all our costs are covered, because productions are costly. I mean, we can spend up to 35 grand just producing these videos. um, so that brings another thing, is you want to make sure everything is budgeted to a T. And what we've had this really intricate, pretty much video production budget template, and every line item is accounted for. So then when we start to do another project for a similar brand, we'll whip up the last one and say, okay, so we have 4 grand for location fees. We have $1,000 we can spend on talent. And it's really about making sure every line item is accounted for, everything is budgeted for, it's estimated. Even lunches, like you go over $150 for lunch, you got to jot it down, or else it's coming out of someone's pocket or some margin.
Mm.
So that was a big thing we learned. Cash flow is important. Make sure you get paid ahead of time. Don't be too nice with clients. And it's, I guess you get the luxury of when you start building your brand name, you can be that way. But
Oh yeah. I mean, for these clients, do they come to you say, hey, we already have this in mind, or are you pretty much coming up with the whole concept from scratch?
we're pretty much coming up with the whole concept from scratch. So they'll come to us, and and pretty much we're only working on referral, word of mouth these days. We don't run any ads for ourselves. We don't really do any outbound. It's all referrals, word of mouth, from good projects we've done. So they'll just come to us and be like, hey, we really liked this project. Can you do something for us? And we'll go from scratch, and we'll pitch numerous high level concepts to them, and they'll say, oh, I really like this crazy idea of the god of wine, which we did for snow. And they'll just let us run with it. Some clients really want to be hands on, which is cool. We'll go back and forth with them on the creative. They'll have great ideas too. And some clients are just like, hey man, just deliver me the final video. Like, I don't care what the script says. I don't care about these lines. Just you know what to do, and we trust you guys. Like, go get it done.
That's the best scenarios there. I mean, you're doing it for a reason.
It's great, and it's almost like when it's the more successful brands that are like that, like Snow and Josh. I mean, he understands, like, when you hire a big agency, you don't need to micromanage them. So that was he was pretty hands off, and he was trustworthy of like, hey, you guys know what you're doing. I'll approve some things that need to be approved, but for the most part, take it away. And he showed up on set, and he loved what he saw. He loved the idea ahead of time, and yeah, that one came out great.
Now, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you. It's kind of finance related, I guess. But I mean, when it comes to a big brand like Snow versus, maybe somebody who's spending, 10 to 30K a month on ads, is your service, feasible for them, or are you really sitting on those six-figure ad spend kind of accounts there? Because I'm kind of curious on what this is going to kind of turn into to say, hey, if somebody's spending 30 to 50K a month on ads, how much should they be spending on creative development or video production like this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's something we've been trying to come up with, like, a formula for. But I mean, it's hard to come up with an exact number. But
Yeah,
yeah, if you're spending 10 to 20 grand a month, it doesn't really make sense to spend another 20 grand just to produce content. I think there's a level, and once you start getting to the 30, 50 grand, it makes sense to spend 30 grand on a campaign. You need to look at your numbers and see, how much, what's our ROAS, and what does it have to be to pay off this campaign? And at some levels, it's really easy. Let's say you're spending 100 grand on a campaign, and you're doing normally 2x. Even if the content bumps you up 2.5,
that's huge.
what, yeah, 50K that pays off the campaign.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I mean, we have companies come to us that spend 10K a month, and I'll straight up be like, it doesn't make sense for us to spend 25 grand on a campaign. You would have to, and the thing is, the content that we produce is scalable and it lasts a long time. We've been running some of these ads for 14 months, so you can really stretch it out and pay it off a long time. But you have to be ready to put money into these campaigns to you need to have the spend behind it.
To really
Like
see.
these, like yeah, to see the return and to pay it off. So yeah, with these six-figure companies, it's super easy. I mean, even the smallest uptick in ROAS pays off the campaigns in a month and just produces dividends after that. But the smaller stuff, I would say anything under 15K, start small. Maybe you don't need a huge campaign, but
Yeah.
you can do the UGC stuff. You can do a small 10K campaign, 5K content creation, and get something that works, and then eventually do the big polished ad. It's also a big brand play, and if you're not at the point where you need a huge brand play, then maybe it doesn't make sense to do it right away.
And that's where I was kind of going to lead to next. I mean, for the individuals who are coming to YouTube for their first video like this, is it more of a brand awareness video? Is it more direct response? Is it something they want on the homepage or something with an ads? What's usually that kind of first huge video they kind
Sure.
of create for? Yeah, you may have some insights on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, hey, make us some money, make a video, make us some money. But I think it depends. I mean, there are clients that they're at the point of scaling, and they might not have the best content yet,
Yeah.
and they know they could crack it open with like the right creative, and those are very much let's make something that is very DR driven. And it is also brandable, because all these ads are, in the end, they're brandable. They're crazy and they're weird, and people remember what they are, and they have a positive feeling on the brand. But some of them are, we want to make sure they also boost the creative compared to what they're currently running.
Yeah.
But then there's companies like Snow that already, they're crushing it. Like, how much better can we do with this campaign? And those are big, brand plays. So you want to make something that people who are seeing this can tie Snow, the product, to this really fancy ad with this crazy nice house and these crazy characters and this lady who can whiten her teeth even though she's married to the god of wine, and they're memorable. And also these when we produce these campaigns, they can be used on a lot of different platforms. So not only can you use it on YouTube, Facebook, but they're all going to connected TV now. So that's a big thing too. With big brands who have the budget to put it on TV or connected TV, they can all be repurposed for different platforms.
No, that's the best part. Is, I mean, even if you have a minute video, you can snip that into nice little 10 to 15-second clips to utilize for wherever you want to put it. So that's definitely a snazzy angle there.
Totally. And that's kind of, and at first it was, how nice can we make these videos? And now it's more of, how many of these videos can we make at a high level, at a high quality, because you want to make sure you have a lot of different cuts of these.
Shit, man, this has been super juicy. Well, I mean, how can anybody find you? What do you got cooking in the kitchen next? Let's update the people.
Yeah. I think if you just go to our site, baconandeggsmedia.com, you can hit us up there. You can email me, Kia, at baconandeggsmedia.com. Yeah, I mean, I would say hit me up on Twitter. I don't have a Twitter yet, but apparently it's popping again. So maybe I need to delete my old college tweets and get back on it. So I would say just shoot me an email. Happy to chat with anyone. We love working with cool, interesting brands, e-com brands, direct-to-consumer brands. So yeah, it would be fun to chat with anyone.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we saw what it takes to make a rich ad, a very shitty ad, and some sick finance tips, man. So much appreciated. And thanks for jumping on today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Well, good stuff.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Rich Ad Poor Ad podcast. If you're like me and listen to podcasts on the go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and richadpoorad.com/podcast. And if you absolutely love the show, go ahead and leave a review and a comment, share with a friend. If you do, take a copy, screenshot of it, email me, Zach@funneldash.com, show me you left a review, and I'll give you a free copy of the Rich Ad Poor Ad book. To learn more about the book, go to richadpoorad.com. To leave a review, Go to richadpoorad.com/review. Thanks again.